Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Have you ever wanted to explode your guests just because you're a sadistic maniac? Well, you're in luck because now you can. If you call within the next 10 minutes, the Everything Must Die plugin is yours for only 69 cents. With a single click of a button, 1 out of every 6 guests in your park will explode. If they are currently not able to explode, like when they're on a ride, they will explode as soon as they get off the ride. So this plugin has the ability to provide fun for up to several minutes after you activate it. This is only one of many great plugins in OpenRCT2, and in this video I will be highlighting my top 10 favorite plugins. To install them, click the link in the description, download the JavaScript file, put it in the plugin folder and start up the game. In the game you can find and use them by clicking on the map icon and dragging your cursor down. If you know of a cool plugin that isn't in this list, please mention it in the comments. My most used plugin is the Price Manager, which is incredibly useful for parks where you charge for the rides. As rides get older, you can charge less for them, so if you set the price really high initially, you will have to change it later. This is fine if you have just a few rides, but it's a lot of micromanagement if you have dozens of different rides who each age at different moments. With the Price Manager plugin you don't have to worry about that anymore at all. It will automatically set the ride ticket prices to the maximum that the guests will pay and update them when necessary. If this feels too much like cheating, you can institute a lazy tax. If you set that at 70%, the Price Manager will set the prices to only 30% of the maximum, making it a bit less cheaty. In addition to the ride prices, it can also manage your entrance price and shop prices, but those are not a lot of effort to do manually, so it's mostly useful for your ride ticket prices. Another plugin I frequently use is the Bench Warmer plugin. Having as many benches and bins as possible helps out your park a lot, but it is a lot of effort to individually place them all. The Bench Warmer plugin saves you all that effort by putting benches and bins on all your paths in a chessboard pattern. Since benches cannot be placed on hills, it will just put bins there instead, and you can also make it not replace any existing path ornaments. The newest version of the plugin even has an option to automatically place benches and bins on paths as you're building them for ultimate efficiency. In my videos I frequently mention the soft guest cap, which is the amount of guests that your park can naturally support. It can get kinda tricky to calculate how high it is in larger parks, so for that you can use the soft guest cap calculator. You can configure it to give you notifications when your soft guest cap increases or decreases, and also force it to tell you what it is right now. In addition, it will tell you what percentage your soft guest cap is of the guest goal. Right now it says 50% because the goal is 650 guests and the soft guest cap is 325. The last plugin that's particularly useful for scenario play is the Park Rating Inspector. Your park rating consists of 9 different variables, and this plugin neatly breaks down how much you're getting from each one. It is most useful for figuring out what's wrong with your park if you see your rating going down. For example, what's the problem with this park? If we open up the Park Rating Inspector, we can see that we have a massive penalty from lost guests. This is most likely because we accidentally trapped a whole bunch of them somewhere in the park. After scanning through the park, the culprit has been found, an unconnected exit path, probably caused by a wall being in the way when it was built. Here's another example. What's wrong with this park? This time it's the fact that I forgot to rehire handyman after someone in the Twitch chat forced me to fire all my staff, so now the park is filled with litter and puke, killing the park rating. Somehow the guests are still happy though. Seriously, I tried several things to make the guests unhappy as an example for this plugin, such as making the rides too expensive and filling the park with litter, but I can't even get it to stay below 400 out of 500. I don't know what it takes to make the guests unhappy anymore. Next up is the LifeRight Measurement plugin, which allows you to track your ride stats in real time as it's testing. This one is most useful in combination with the ghost test to check if your partially built coaster is long enough and not too extreme. For example, here in Ghost Town your rides need to be at least 1200 meters long. If we use this plugin to track the length of what we've built so far, we can see that it's 849 meters long, which isn't quite long enough, so we need to make it a little bit longer before we return to the station. Next up are 3 plugins that are very useful for sandbox parks. The first is the Scenery Manager. This is an incredibly powerful plugin with way too many different features to cover in this video. The feature I've used the most is the ability to copy and paste scenery. Let's say you've built an amazingly detailed building and you want another identical building next to it. That is a lot of manual work, but with the Scenery Manager you can simply select the building, including the path, copy it and build another one next to it. This can save you a lot of time, but there is so much more that this plugin can do. Because I'm not a sandbox player, I can't explain all of it, but there is a great video by YouTuber Vidwell which explains all the different features and how to use them, link in the description. The next plugin is the Peep Editor. You can use this to change the color of the clothes and accessories of all your guests, which is how I made all the guests nude at the end of my first Rio Carnival video. You can also use it to change individual staff members. For example, this mechanic is now a guest drinking out of a tentacle, and now he's a security guard. Freeze him in place in front of a queue line and now it looks like he's guarding it. The only limit to funny things you can do with this is your imagination. The third sandbox plugin is the Ride Vehicle Editor, which you can use to completely change any car or train on any ride. See this miniature railway train? Now the front car is an observation tower cabin. Now they're all observation tower cabins. Now there's a big gap between the last 2 cars. Now the first car is a train locomotive again, and now it travels at very high speeds through the park. Once again, the only limitation is your imagination. The last plugin I want to mention is one that switches up the scenario play we're all used to by randomizing a whole load of variables. Let's start up Amity Airfield, set the difficulty and variation to extreme and run the randomizer. What did we get? Well, instead of 3000 guests we now need more than 7600 guests in the same 4 years. Our maximum loan has been approximately cut in half and we suddenly charge for the rides instead of the park entry. The guests now also prefer less intense rides. This is no problem. Let's start with a small vertical drop coaster. Guests will love it and pay good money for it. Except not really, as the stats have been randomized too. The intensity rating of all vertical drop coasters in the park has been multiplied by 1.73, giving this design more than 9 intensity. This will change randomly later on, but for now vertical drop coasters are absolutely useless. The twister coaster on the other hand gets all its stats reduced, making it quite useful for our gentle loving guests. You can encounter all kinds of interesting challenges with this plugin, giving it a lot of replay value. And that were 10 of my favorite plugins for OpenRCT2. If you want to learn more about what OpenRCT2 can do, you can click here to learn about the massively increased limits it has compared to the vanilla game. Thank you all for watching and I will see you in the next video.